Hi, you know, there's one thing you've got to understand. It's playing the guitar, or any instrument for that matter. You've got to ask yourself, do you really want to play? You'll see all these success gurus saying, oh, you know, you've got to see it, you've got to want it. But really, what does that mean? Think about what that means. They'll ask you to visualise yourself playing. For me, when I was 15, 14, well actually it goes back to when I was 8. When Merry Christmas Everybody was #1 in 1973 for a band called Slade in Britain. I played the B-side first on an old Dansette, big old box record player. And the B-side was called Don't Blame Me. And it's the foulest, ugliest record you've ever heard. But there was something in it that I don't know, I just wanted to play the guitar. The following Christmas, my uncle Dan, he's dead now, he bought me a plastic electric looking guitar, a Stratocaster thing, and I pretended to play along with Merry Christmas Everybody, and particularly Don't Blame Me. So I think playing the guitar is something I've always wanted to do, and not to the level of these, what I call just technicians, these shred million note per hour. That never appealed to me, and if that's what appeals to you, then you could sort of switch off, but it's not that clever, because what you find is you get a million notes around the one area and then a few thousand around this area, so you've basically got 2 notes. You're doing that many notes. You got a bunch around here, you got a bunch around here, and a bunch around here. So you could have done the same thing with 3 notes. So it's very clever, and I know a good friend of mine is outstanding, absolutely outstanding at it. And I watched it a couple of times, and we used to give him a solo in the gigs. But it was enough. Once was enough, but not a whole gig. Anyway, that's personal taste. So, like I said, the point of this video is how much do you want to play? Nobody can force you to practice, but it's great because you can pick it up, you can play it in bed, and you can fidget with it, and with only a few chords you can begin to sound quite nifty. So that's something really important before you start. Now I know I'm prattling on, I think I'm 2:48 now. Because you don't want to be frustrated with it like this guy. That's Paul Simon and Smashing Lumps, and this is a Fender, I think it's a Fender Precision. He smashed it up, the thing wasn't working. I think it had been raining. Is it Penny Smith? I think Penny Smith, the photographer, caught it. It's an iconic rock and roll picture, but it could also be how you feel when you're struggling with the guitar. So I'm going to show you the first 2 rudiments that you don't even need a tuned guitar. In fact, I'm going to take the guitar, I'm going to take it out of tune. No, it's completely out of tune. So I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play a thing. But I'm going to get you to think about physical position. And the key finger is this one. I was showing some kids one time this, and I showed them in an interesting manner, and they fell about laughing on the chair, and I thought, oh, you know, that was a pure accident for once. And but this one is the key. It's in the middle. To start, it's the pivot point. You can pivot around it. Mind you can also pivot around that one. And you can pivot around this one. So the physics, the mechanics, if you like, the geometry is based upon pivoting, in my opinion. Now this is something I've been looking at lately because I've been thinking about how to teach it. I've spent 30 years teaching primary kids. I'm sure I can learn how to make efficient the teaching of the guitar. That's pretty arrogant, by the way. I know you can. I'm sure you can put that in the comment. But that's what I've done for years. Break down how can you make it most efficient to teach. Not just give somebody a worksheet and say, there you go, do that. Because just going away and doing that on the guitar means you could practice incorrect techniques. And if you practice incorrect techniques, you play incorrectly, obviously. So, rule 1 would be to 1, do it slowly, and 2, do it perfectly. Now, to do it slowly will be affected by how well you do it. Now, perfect changes. So let's change the word perfect. What would you? To the best of your ability, so that you can do it. Once you can do something, then you can practice the smaller bits to improve it. There you go, that's the point. You can learn how to write, and then you develop how you improve your handwriting and so on and so forth. So, using this idea of pivoting on your fingers, I need you to practice really slowly, so that you can do it, but do it properly. There's the word I was looking for, properly. You want to be able to do it properly with the correct technique. Then you can begin your journey to perfection, which of course Segovia tried, he's dead. John Williams tried, Yngwie Malmsteen, you name the guitarist. There's plenty of them. B.B. King was constantly looking at technique. Buddy Guy, you name them. These guys, it's a constant journey. So let's do the techniques properly. Okay? Now I'm going to give you the first technique, and remember, this guitar is completely out of tune. Now I'm going to pause the video there because the file size gets all ridiculous. So I'm just going to pause the video. So this is the end of part 1. The takeaway from this lesson for the 30-second nugget of this is, have you got the attitude? Which means, will you set aside time to play every day? If you haven't got the attitude, don't bother. Don't bother. Don't bother with me, because I'm all about repetition, drill and practice. Okay? The fun comes from being able to do it, and the fun is the journey, the practice, the getting into it, the nuts and bolts of it. So, have you got the attitude? Can you set aside the time every day to practice? And do it and practice so slowly that you can perform the technique in a correct manner. That's it. There's your 30-second or 1-minute video. Right, I'm going to press pause now. I'm going to come back with part 2 with it. Untuned guitar.